Good afternoon, you're watching The Football Show with myself, Gabriel Antoniazzi. No Peter or Ruffy today, but I've got the two Tams with me, Karen and McManus. Good afternoon to the both of you, how are you getting on?
How you doing, Gabe? Brand new, yourself?
Yeah, fantastic. Lovely to see you on transfer deadline day as well.
Exactly, but first up, how did your exams go, son? Did you pass?
Just about.
Good on you.
Right, plenty to talk about today. As we said, the deadline slammed shut at midnight. We've got to start with Celtic striker Odsonne Edouard. He's down in London having a Crystal Palace medical before a £15 million move to the Eagles. Now, Tam, coming straight to you, what do you make of this? You know, Edouard's almost been tipped to leave ever since he came 4 years ago. Is it the right club? Is it the right price?
It's the right price. I think he's out of contract at the end of the season. I think Celtic getting reported £15 million is fantastic business. I think you get 30 million for Ayer, both from the last year of the contract. So I think in terms of Celtic getting the maximum fee, they've definitely got that with Edouard, because he could have run his contract down and pocketed that money himself in January. So I think Celtic fans over the piece. I think he's been a great player for Celtic, but I think over the last year, 18 months, he's not quite been at it, and I think he's maybe soured it a wee bit with some Celtic fans. But over the piece, I think you can't argue with his statistics, how much he's won at Celtic, and then a big transfer fee leaving. So I think it's been a great signing for Celtic.
Yeah, amazing to get 15 million with just 1 year left, isn't it?
Absolutely, that's how I'd agree with Tam, because if he'd been sensational the way that he was at the start of his Celtic career, that'd have been a sore one for the Celtic fans, particularly coming off the back of the 1-0 defeat to Rangers, and they're saying, are we going to have a chance at this league or whatever? But the form that he had been in, even if you include Sunday as well, and that quite incredible sitter, suddenly £15 million, it seems like a brilliant bit of business for Celtic. So I don't think too many Celtic fans will be crying into their hankies the night that he's away. No, for that sort of money.
Yeah, we want to hear from you Celtic fans. Let us know, is it the right price? Are you happy to see him go? He obviously wasn't at his top form over the last 2 years. He did score 29 league goals last campaign. We can have a look at all of his stats now since he joined the club. So here we go, 23 years old, 179 games, 88 goals and 39 assists. 9 trophies along the way, not too bad, Tam? And look at the big goals as well. 15 in Europe, 7 in Old Firm games, and 3 in cup finals. Now, I spoke to Cal McGregor, the captain, on Sunday, and he said that if he does leave, which now it seems likely, he should go down as a legend. Do you agree with that?
For me, I think it's, particularly when you're talking about a club like Celtic, a legend at Celtic, the Lisbon Lions were obviously a hard act to follow, and then you look back at the quadruple treble winners and all the rest of it. I don't imagine he'll be remembered as a legend. He might be remembered as a legend, as we just touched on, the fact that he hasn't been in his best of form, but they managed to get 15 million from him, That's quite tidy, but I don't imagine he'll be remembered as a legend. I mean, if he was a legend, then Pat Bonner would have been able to pronounce his surname correctly at least once.
After 4 years.
Managed that, so nah.
Yeah, Ruffy usually has a good go at it as well, doesn't he? Where do you think he ranks?
Ruffy's best go-to name is yours. Come on, for the regulars. Come on, say it right into the camera again. Your proper pronunciation.
Peter always gets it right. Gabriel Antoniazzi. It's better than Ruffy can do. Ruffy Morelos as well. He always gives it the Morales or Morales, doesn't he?
Ruffy struggles with Peter Martin.
Oh no, he'll be fine. Ruffy back in a few days. Maybe his holiday he can recoup and practice on his names, eh?
Absolutely.
Right, come on. Edouard, where does he rank in terms of, maybe not a legend, but recent Celtic greats? You know, Hooper, he scored 20 plus goals in 3 seasons. You got Dembele, where does he rank next to them?
I think he's up there. I think he was part of the quadruple treble. Tam just touched on it there. He was a big part of that. 7 Old Firm goals. I think in terms of Celtic and Rangers, but you're remembered by the big games, Old Firm games, scoring goals, scoring winners. Who can remember he scored that Celtic were down to 10 men? I think he came back and won 3-2.
3-2, yeah.
And he just cut inside and put one in the top corner. Scored big goals in Europe for Celtic as well. So he done it in the big games. It's easy for me. Scored 15, 20 goals for Celtic. In the league, I think is pretty simple, to be honest with you, if you're playing every game. So I think he's been a fantastic servant for Celtic. I think the fee they're getting is incredible, to be honest, because I thought he was going to run his contract down and take the money. So I think he's done Celtic a favour as well by going at this point as well.
Yeah, there was also...
That's a fair shout. It's a wee bit like when David Turnbull renewed his deal before leaving Motherwell. You knew I'd bring it round to Motherwell eventually,
I was waiting how long, 5 minutes in.
That because, when Motherwell were looking after him and then he had that terrible the injury, which meant that he didn't get the move when we all thought he was going to. Then the very fact that he signed a new deal, then we thought, great, we are going to get money for him. So, well, maybe that's the legendary status, and maybe Tam's pointed it out, as far as Edouard goes,
Yeah, and also, obviously, he came from PSG. We think it was £9 million they paid for him, and Paris Saint-Germain do have the 40% on the sell-on, so they won't see the entirety of that money, but it'll still be a big fee. And of course, they've sold I already at Frimpong in January. Another they look set to sell is Ryan Christie. Now, what we believe will happen, obviously the deadline isn't until midnight, is that Christie is picking Bournemouth over Burnley. So he's going for the South Coast ahead of Lancashire, even though they're in the Championship and slightly less money. What do you think about that decision, Tam,
If you've been to both, Tam.
Which would you rather go to?
I've been to Bournemouth, and Bournemouth is a lovely seaside resort. You can enjoy it there, good shows down the front and all the rest of it. But I think it'll all boil down to the deal. Ryan Christie, obviously, he's got a father who was immersed in football, of course, and he'll have his advisors and that, I don't think any of these players nowadays take any sort of move lightly, They'll have done all their homework, but, he's a smashing player as well, and I would just hope that if he goes, you're saying nothing's guaranteed yet, no? That's
nothing yet.
Saying. But I would hope even if that even gives him a wee extra boost, for Scotland, and for his maybe his games that's coming up there. But have we got any Scotland players left?
Just about. We'll come on to that. Just about.
Bring back the international version of 10 and 6s. That's what I'm looking at. Maybe have a wee chance against Denmark. But no, I'm a big fan of Ryan Christie. I wasn't at the start, because as even the most fervent Celtic fan might remember, he had a wee spell in his game, Tam, when whenever he get fouled or that, you could hear him 3 miles away,
screaming.
The screaming, and nobody when you're sitting there, particularly when it's a fairly ineffectual challenge. I mean, as bad as the tackle that did deserve a red, hands up, against the boy Anderson, for Jake Carroll, the Motherwell Dundee game last week. I know I'm totally changing the subject here, but it's fine. But as bad as that challenge was, even by that guy's at Max Anderson, he did the triple somersault and all that, rolling about and then the minute Dundee were about to take the free kick because they were chasing the game, the boy was back up, absolutely. And I hate watching that.
Not like the dark arts, no?
No. I'm glad, and historically, if you check the record books, a Motherwell player has never, since our inception in 1886, been booked for diving.
Right, I'll have to go through the history books over the next few days, Tam. I'll come back next week.
Were you ever done for that, Tam?
Would you go down if you were touching the box?
I was. No, I'll tell you what, Alan McLeish, I was at Hibs, and I think we're playing St Mirren at Love Street, and it was the last minute of the game, one each, and I went round the goalkeeper, and he clipped me, and I never went down.
Oh.
And I went too wide, I was too honest, and I hit the side netting.
Yeah.
So I come in, finished one each, and I come in, and McLeish absolutely roared at me. Next time you're touching the box, get done. Did
he?
Aye.
That's McLeish, big solid centre half as well.
You get the flip side of that as well the night, and I'd always had this in my mind until he recently confirmed that otherwise, that he wasn't playing for Motherwell at the time. It was when Pat Nevin was at Kilmarnock, and we were down at Rugby Park. I think it was a midweek game, Kilmarnock against Motherwell, and Pat went down inside the box, and the referee, I think it was Big John Rowbottom, pointed straight to the spot, and Pat, and it wasn't to do with any love of Motherwell or anything like that, Pat ran right out to Big John, and he said no, he'd slipped, and he just wiped out the penalty decision. I'd never ever seen that before.
Really?
So if Pat Nevin can do it, the other players can do it as well. Lead by example.
Yeah, we'll see if Ryan Christie does it wherever he does end up. He's in the Scotland squad. We think it's around £2 or £3 million, and a big part of his decision may have been that he's playing in the position he wants at Bournemouth, whereas Burnley it might be a more rigid 4-4-2, and he might have to play out wide left. Can you see where he's coming from there?
Yeah, I think he's obviously wanting to go somewhere that he's going to play every week. Does he play every week at Burnley? I'm not so sure. I think Bournemouth, obviously, Championship, I think he's got a better opportunity playing every week. But I think it'll boil down to money as well. I think if Burnley came in and offer him a lot more money than Bournemouth, it'd be difficult for him to turn down, especially in the Premiership as well. So it remains to be seen, but another guy that's in the last year of his contract, Celtic will be looking to get into for him, £1 million, £1.5 million, get it in the coffers and try and maybe bring somebody in. Yeah,
well, that's Celtic up to £40 million this year if you consider Christie, Edouard, if they do go through, Frimpong back in January to buy Leverkusen, and Christopher Ajer, £40 million. Good business from Celtic, isn't it?
Ajer particularly, I know. I think he's done. I think he's been doing okay down south. But that that must astonish quite a few folk. There was a lot of folk saw him as maybe being a wee bit of a loose cannon, a wee bit of a weak link and that, and it was a hell of a lot of money that gets spent on him. But there you go. He might progress into being a world beater for all we know. But Celtic have been tucking the money away, and the bottom line is that they're in the Europa League now. Any sniff of the Champions League money is gone, so that's what they've got to do.
One player that they won't be getting any money for is Leigh Griffiths. He's gone to Dundee on loan, and obviously his contract will end next year when he finishes at Dundee. But what do you reckon of Griffiths moving to Dundee? Is that the kind of signing that can help them? For me, I don't think he's going to get back in that Scotland fold unless he scores 20, 25, 30 goals. But I really do think that Griffiths can be the difference for Dundee, because they do have some goal scoring problems, and I think he could be the difference for them staying in the top flight.
Listen, I think it'll be a good signing for Dundee. I don't think there's any doubt about it. We were on the show with Charlie last week, and he said that there's going to be a lot of teams scrapping. Motherwell, Dundee United, St Mirren. The difference could be a guy who's getting you 10 or 15 goals. And for me, if Leigh Griffiths plays 20 games for Dundee this season, I think he'll get double figures.
Yeah.
I think he'll get double figures. I think he's one of the boys that will do a lot in a game and he'll pop up with a goal. Him and Jason Cummins will be an interesting dynamic in that dressing room for a night out. That'll be good. But I think Tam was at the game at the weekend there with Motherwell. I think Dundee had a lot of possession, a lot of chances, and couldn't put the ball in the net.
Aye.
One thing about Leigh Griffiths, any sort of chance in the box is in the back of the net. So I think it'll be a good sign for Dundee.
Yeah, Cummings and Griffiths, it's a match made in heaven, isn't it, Tam?
Absolutely, but so on the park is, they've in terms of what I would call class acts, guys that know how to play the game. That's them now got Charlie Adam, who I'm no harm to Charlie, but I'm delighted he hobbled off on Saturday because he was starting to run the show a wee bit. But then, of course, they were able to bring on Paul McGowan, who I remember years ago when he was at St Mirren describing in a column as the kind of mini Messi. He was absolutely dynamite, and you can tell that Paul McGowan knows how to play football, but he was almost like playing at centre half at some stages in Saturday against
Charlie.
Motherwell. It was weird.
Yeah.
No, Paul McGowan.
Paul McGowan, centre half.
He just kept sitting back looking for the ball, and sometimes you think he's not going to actually dynamite back there, is he? But never gave the ball away. He was brilliant, and now a man of undoubted football and talent, Leigh Griffiths, you chuck him into the mix as well. In terms of having a decent team to watch, it's quite good for the Dundee fans. But I reckon that Leigh Griffiths was probably forced out of Celtic by Mr. Hart, the goalkeeper. Because you imagine going into training ever since that Scotland-England game. Leigh Griffiths is saying, right, come on, George, just line up. Let me just hit some free kicks against you, And he was clearly getting scunnered with him putting everyone past him, and he must have had a word with the guys running the club and got him out the door. But no, I think he needs to. I know he's had a lot of issues, we all know that, on and off the park, Leigh Griffiths, but I've got this total, as a footballer, I've got this total blind spot from probably ever since that game against England, and I was hoping and praying genuinely during the summer that Stevie Clarke was going to include him and going to sit him on the bench just for the last 15 minutes against teams, maybe even primarily England, when we were looking for a wee winner. But I would like to see him get himself sorted out and get on with his football career.
I think most people would as well, and certainly the Den's loyal. Right, there are some incomings at Parkhead. You've got Georgios Giakoumakis. Now, I think that's how you pronounce it, Tam. Don't
I'll
hold
leave
me
it
to
to
that.
you.
But he was the top goal scorer in the Eredivisie last season for VVV Venlo, even though they were relegated, and he's coming in for around £3 million, £2.5 million. And obviously, it's a good signing for Celtic. It's the kind of signing they want to be making, someone that's a proven goal scorer. But I've got to ask you this, if he was top scorer in the Eredivisie, why do you think no one else has gone for him yet?
Good point. I think it's a bit of a gamble for Celtic. I think that one, 2.5 million is quite a big fee. The Dutch league, I would put on a par with kind of our league, so I don't know. I think it is a bit of a risk. I think when you're letting Edward out and you're guaranteed goals and you're bringing him in. But it remains to be seen. Listen, I think he's going to get game time at Celtic. I think there's an opportunity there to play with Edward away now, so I'm more excited about the lad for Benfica. Is it Jota? I've seen a little bit of him on YouTube, and I've read a few things about him, and supposedly he's a cracker, so I think the Celtic fans will be looking forward to seeing him. Yeah,
I've seen Jota play as well. He scored the goal against Italy under-21s in the Championship semi-final this summer to send them through. But what do you think about this business from Celtic? Obviously, they're losing Edouard and Christie, established players who have won countless trophies, and bringing these two. Is it a downgrade for Celtic?
don't know about that. What I would say is I think it is time genuinely for teams like Hibs and Hearts to try and steal a march on Celtic. I mean, Celtic they've just sneaked into the top 6 just now. They're tucked in behind Motherwell, and we had very similar Champions League campaigns. Neither of us did anything really. Everybody knows Celtic and Rangers are going to be up there at the end of the season, but I bet there'd been a lot of Hibs and Hearts fans watching the Old Firm derby on Sunday and hoping that it was going to finish in a draw. Because that would have suited them, and because fans can start dreaming about that. All the transfers that you're going through there at Celtic have been involved in bringing money in, huge quantities of money, and being able to spend money to bring in supposedly top players. Hibs and Hearts in that respect will know their place, but they're thinking, I always go back, I've got this fantasy I've said to Peter about many a time about when Jim McLean won the league with Dundee United, right? Everybody believed it was meant to have been with the same kind of 14, 15 players, and they managed to get a season where injuries weren't an issue and they all steered clear of suspensions and that. So it was that almost same unit they were putting out every week, and with great players, Goff and Malpass and Billy Thompson and goals and Hegarty, Neri, all the rest of it, Eamon Bannon. You could rattle them all off nearly 40 years later, but they were able to do that, and I still think that is the only chance that a club in Scotland has got to put a dent in that league title race against Celtic and Rangers, is by trying to keep the same team together and hoping for the best of luck with the suspensions, with the injuries, and see what they can do. And I'm mildly excited by Hibs and Hearts so far, to the point it's almost a shame they're playing each other this weekend, and maybe one of them will get their throat slit with the other, but it'd be great just to freshen it up, just to have something different, because even that, it was a case of that maybe with Europe, but it was only Celtic and Rangers get through, I mean, they harm to St Johnstone or perhaps even Aberdeen, but there was the same old about it,
disappointing, Tam, because you want to see Hibs and St Johnstone or somebody different. Celtic and Rangers seem to be carrying the flag, but I looked at there's Dundalk in the last few years have been in and about it, and Shamrock Rovers, some of the teams in Ireland that, have been getting there, and you're thinking, wow. To be fair, they've been lucky with the draw. Shamrock Rovers, I think, get a team from Estonia. I was looking at the draw, and the team for Estonia put them out. But if Hibs or Aberdeen get a team for Estonia and had to beat them to get in the group stages,
you wouldn't put the goose on it, would you?
No, you wouldn't.
But they just seem to never get over the line.
I think Lask and Karabag, they were
Lask are a good team,
decent sides.
and they're teams that have been in European competition, but we want to see someone else in Europe, don't we? Even I was
the
up
geese in the cash and all.
Absolutely. I mean, the very idea of St Johnstone or Hibs, you're right. I mean, we don't, as we speak, we believe, which I find incredible, that St Johnstone still haven't lost one of those 4 or 5 players that everybody was raving about when they won the double, quite rightly as well. I was maybe thinking that when they did get knocked out of Europe and had missed that wee carrot, it had been dangled the £3 million they were talking about getting into group stages. I thought, right, you might almost see a cull now, you might see quite a few of them going, but they're still hanging on in there, which is absolutely brilliant. But and indeed, as Callum Davidson, a lot of folk thought that there might have been other clubs sniffing about him, because what else can Callum Davidson do at St Johnstone?
Win the treble this year, league as well.
Well, exactly. That's the only thing that you imagine he can do. So, yeah, I'm St Johnstone, or maybe when the last time we had this conversation, it was looking at St Johnstone saying, can you imagine the double winning team, if they were able to keep that team together, maybe nick a couple of results off Celtic and Rangers and that, who knows? But it's fantasy stuff, because you need to go, we're going back 40 years before MD had laid a glove on Celtic or Rangers, so it's probably never going to happen.
No, I know. So we do think that Jason Kerr might leave Wigan, £500,000. That's the closest one. But Ali McCann is the one for me. How he is still at St Johnstone, I have no idea, because I just think he's top class. He could easily, I think he walks in to the Old Firm midfield. I think that he could slot in anywhere in either of the two teams, anywhere in the Championship as well. For me, I think he is the one that they've managed to keep hold of and can help them this season. Yeah,
I think he's a tremendous player. I think that West Ham were, obviously we're speaking to Charlie, and I think West Ham were keeping tabs on him. So that's the kind of calibre of clubs that I think that are looking at him. I'm also like you, I'm surprised that Celtic and Rangers have no... I mean, how much was St Johnstone looking for? 2 million? 3 million maybe?
Yeah, well, they said they want a club record fee, which is actually Callum Davidson, would you believe? I think it's 1.75 million,
yeah.
So 2-3 million?
I think that's like a bargain for that.
And you know what, it would be nice if St Johnstone, it sounds quite as if you're taking all the fun out of football and that, but everything is now about pounds, shillings and pence. It'd be nice if St Johnstone were able to cash in a wee bit of that success for last year, you know, because as much as they'd have tucked away a few quid for winning the double, you know, the whole idea is that clubs like St Johnstone, clubs like Motherwell, it's about putting players in the shop window and letting them get bigger and better moves. And as I do find it quite astonishing that they still haven't lost MD for that team. I mean, when did you ever know in the past, Tam, that folk were starting to be able to name a St Johnstone starting lineup? You know what I mean? Teams at that level historically, Motherwell as well. Players in, players out, players coming up for the lower reaches English football. But suddenly there was a rake of these guys in the St Johnstone team that were like household names. You know, and I do find it baffling that you know, I'm sure Sunday must go before midnight strikes. You know.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on Jason Kerr. But interestingly, you talk about teams being broken apart. I thought, many people thought that might be the case with Rangers after their invincible season last campaign. But as we know, at the moment, we don't think Rangers will be selling any of their top players. No Morelos, no Kamara, Kent, Barisic, Patterson, all been linked with moves away. We believe they will all be staying until at least January. There will be a few loans out of the door though. Nikola Katic is set to join Hajduk Split, a Croatian side back in his homeland. He's recovering from a knee injury, so Gerrard wants to give him more game time. While Cedric Itten has joined Greuther Fürth on loan, just been promoted to the Bundesliga. Now he joined last summer for around £2.5 million. Do you think he's been given a fair crack of the whip? He scored 6 league goals last campaign, and Greuther Fürth, the German side, have said that they have an option to buy him as well at the end of the loan deal.
Yeah, I'm surprised at that. I thought whenever he's played for Rangers, whenever I've seen him, I thought he's looked a decent player. You know, he's got decent pace and he holds the ball up well. He's got a good goal scoring record. Rangers not get particularly a lot of cover in that centre forward area. I think Roof probably, Morelos. So I'm quite surprised that they've let him go on loan, unless they're maybe going to bring another striker in to replace him. Possibly.
What about your golden boy?
I know if they've got £5 million line, then we can bring Nisbet in. But no, I don't. Maybe Rangers will maybe bring somebody in loan, because I'm quite surprised at that. I think they would have kept him just as cover.
They do have Jermaine Defoe. They've got Fashion Sakal as well, but he's something different, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's the big man. I think he actually scored a couple of goals at Fir Park last season when I was there. He's good in the air, but quite a surprising one there. Are you surprised that no Rangers players have left at all? The likes of Morelos, we see him linked away every time. Kamara, he's a top player.
Well, the way it goes, I mean, the chat about Morelos, it's constant, you know, and I wouldn't be surprised if a boy ends up getting a testimonial at Rangers, you know, for that's because we keep hearing he's going here, there, he's going everywhere. He also then does the annual thing of apparently no coming home for Colombia, and everybody saying, where is he? But it all works out fine in the end. Just let him go on with it. I mean, to be perfectly honest with you, whether I'm on the radio or whether we're sitting here, I always find it quite amusing that you know, we're talking about have Rangers done the right thing by Itten, you know, and you know, I think you'll find that Steven Gerrard has kind of been there and done it. If there's ever a guy to recognise a player or not, or MD knows if a boy's going to be good for his team or not, then it might just be Steven Gerrard, who had not a bad career if you check the record books. But so let them go on with it and see what happens. But I'm really, as I say, to repeat myself earlier, I saw enough signs in that Old Firm game that if other clubs do get their finger out, who knows, they might be able to put a wee dent. And when it comes to results against Celtic and Rangers, it would just be so refreshing, you know, something different. That's all we're looking for.
I know, I can't see either of them going invincible this season. I think there are fragilities in both of them. But who do you think is the biggest one for Rangers keeping? You know, who's the one that they've kept that will make the biggest difference to them?
I think Kamara. Honestly, I think Kamara and possibly Morelos. You know, Morelos' goal scoring record for Rangers is phenomenal, particularly in European football.
Yeah.
Absolutely sensational goal scoring record. I think Kamara's a top player. I really do. He's not signed a deal yet, has he, Kamara? So
no, he hasn't. But
they've offered him one.
Yeah, they think.
So they're trying to get that over the line with Kamara. If he doesn't sign his deal, I think January, the end of the season, they're going to have to cash in on him. But I think that Kamara and Morelos are the big two for Rangers. I think they can do with losing anybody else, to be honest.
And get the boy McCrory signed up. He was brilliant.
A few good saves.
Man of the match on Sunday. Imagine what that's like. You're getting in there. You obviously know that McGregor and McLaughlin were out, but bottom line is he's getting in there where you'd be expecting to see Alan McGregor. Right, we haven't Alan McGregor's gone from an absolute legend at Rangers, a great goalkeeper. magnificent last season and all that. And the boy McCrory, and it maybe wasn't quite the dizzy heights he let David Marshall making his name against Barcelona. That was Barcelona, for heaven's sake, right? But he came in there, no sign of nerves, and I thought that maybe twice that he was really called upon. He did the bizzo, and he must have gone off with his head held high on Sunday afternoon, you know, so good luck to him.
Yeah, brilliant. Maybe Alan McGregor's long-term replacement at Rangers. Before we leave the Ibrox club, we've got to tell you that they have condemned the alleged racism and vowed to find the fans involved. They put out a statement last night. This was, of course, after the chanting in central Glasgow. Now, this is what they said. Following an incident on Sunday, we repeat, Rangers FC condemns all forms of racism, sectarianism and discrimination. We're working with the police to identify any season ticket holders. As a club, we're proud of our Everyone Anyone campaign, led through the Rangers Charity Foundation, our work with a wide range of stakeholders and our ongoing dialogue with the government. Discrimination of all forms is a social issue within Scotland. Those with influence within Scottish discourse should put their energy into eradicating this very serious issue across all sections of Scottish society who suffer sectarianism, discrimination and racism. So Tam, they eventually did put out that statement yesterday evening. That's what you want to see. You want to see these people condemned. You want it out of society, and you want all these fans that are singing anti-Catholic or anti-anything songs, anything racist, they should be banned from the club, shouldn't they?
They should be. There's no excuse now. You know, I think the CCTV and social media, you know, they know who was singing it. So, you know, you find out, as you said, if they're season ticket holders or whatever, just ban them for Ibrox. That's the only way you're going to eradicate it. You know, if you give them a slap in the wrist and, listen, don't do that again. They've been doing that for years. You know, start banning people. So you're not welcome in Ibrox anymore. Because the good Rangers supporters are getting tarnished with these people here. You know, with the racist taunts and discrimination. So I would ban them for Ibrox. You're not welcome here. Don't come back.
Yeah, if you were a Rangers fan, a normal Rangers fan, just love your club, you go with your family, would you not just be disgusted?
Well, I can only. I'm obviously not a Rangers fan myself, but my pal Andy barely misses a game. He is Mr. Rangers in my eyes. He's the proper blue-nosed pal of mine, and he was absolutely just sickening me. He's described just as embarrassing, you know, and it does cast a shadow over the club. And but again, as Tam's saying about with the footage that they've got of it, if Rangers are wanting to ban fans who took part in it, if the police are wanting to make arrests, this isn't like a shopkeeper getting caught on camera 30 years ago with grainy CCTV footage on Woolworths or anything like that. The clips of it that have done the rounds that we've all seen, it's like 4 HD quality. Yeah. You know, they must be able to get the perpetrators easy peasy. So I think in this case, well done to Rangers for coming out and slamming it right away and let the police get on with their job now. I don't think football fans folk go along like myself to watch the football and sit there and have a laugh and a joke with your pals and all that. You hate all this stuff, so let the authorities deal with it.
Yeah, you hope it's dealt with swiftly and firmly as well. Right, we've got plenty of other clubs to get through before we get onto the Scotland stuff. Jason Kerr, we know, is down in England with that move for Wigan. £500,000, Tam. Is that a good fee for St Johnstone? And how much will they miss their captain after all? He lifted both cups last season.
Oh, I think they'll miss him badly. Yeah. I think he's a tremendous player. I was hoping Hibs were going to sign him. I know he's a big Hibs supporter. 500 grand just out of Hibs' price market. As Tam says, wouldn't it be great if Hibs had that money and went, you know what, we'll go and buy him and we'll have a go this season. But
would you have had Kerr over McCarthy and other
I think Kerr's a better player. But I would take McCart as well. I think obviously Hibs have had 3 bids knocked back for McCart. Whether they go back in with a 4th time tonight remains to be seen. But I think that Hibs...
You say his deal's up, isn't it?
McCart's deal's up at the end of the season. Yeah. So St Johnstone are in a predicament. You know, do they let his contract run out and get nothing for him, or do they take what Hibs is offering? You know, I think they're quite far apart in terms of valuation. So I don't know if that will happen now. But if it doesn't happen now, Hibs will sign him in a pre-contract in January, possibly. So they'll get nothing. So a bit of poker, I think, going on. I think maybe something will get...
Only 7 hours left, but I think a left-footed centre-half is what Hibs need.
Desperately.
Certainly.
Yep.
So, we'll have to see with that one. I remember a year or two ago, Tam, when a centre-half from a smaller club, let's say, Declan Gallagher at Motherwell, you said he should be in the Scotland squad. Do you ever see similarities with Jason Kerr, a bit younger? You know, he was outstanding in their runs in the Cup.
Oh, he was great, but I must say, I'm baffled. I mean, apparently some Aberdeen fans have been aiming a wee bit of stick at Declan Gallagher, you know, but I might even take some of the blame out for describing him as Beckenbauer every week on the radio and on here and everything. But Declan Gallagher was immense at Motherwell. But when we were talking just before the Today Show, you had the theory in that time that the different styles in Motherwell, how we were playing last year and how Aberdeen are playing this year, it might not suit them, you think?
Aye, definitely. Because Aberdeen, you know, I said that, I know Stephen Glass well, I know the way he wants to play. He's very, he took a lot from Tony Mowbray in that Hibs team. You know, both fullbacks bomb forward and they leave the two and Scott Brown sitting in front of them. So maybe Gallagher's not used to that. And Ross County, to be fair to them, had 2 or 3 good chances in the first half. Just because of the way Aberdeen were playing. It was a counter-attack and they were getting done a couple of times. So I don't think Declan Gallagher's used to that, getting exposed. I think he's used to just sitting in a nice wee tight back 4 at Motherwell or a tight back 3 and everything in front of him. So maybe he's got to get used to that. But I think Bates coming in will go and help him in there, and those two I think will be a decent partnership. Yeah,
well, what do you make of Aberdeen? We don't expect too much business up at Pittodrie over the next 6 or 7 hours, but we were speaking earlier, you think they've had one of the best windows out of all the clubs?
Yeah, I do. I think that Marley Watkins is an excellent player from Cardiff City. I think Bates was playing in the Belgian Premier League last year with Cercle Bruges. I think he's a good player as well. Good experience in Europe now. I think Scott Brown is a great player, great signing. Ramirez. I think Aberdeen have had a great window, but I think it's going to take time for them to all blend in. And I think the international break has come at a perfect time for Aberdeen. He's got 2 weeks now, Stephen, to work with these boys and get them moulded into a unit.
You think then they'd need to get after a flyer after that? Because you know,
I do.
It's
a slow start.
Listening to Willie Miller on the radio, who Molly knows what he's talking about, and he just said they were outclassed against Qarabag. So you then think, right, back to the bread and butter, at home to Ross County, really big crowd, indeed no even any Ross County fans because of restrictions and what have you in red zones and all that stuff. So suddenly you had a very, very decent crowd inside Pittodrie. They're sitting there, they're watching a load of new players and that, but one each. At home, no disrespect to the Dundee
late equaliser as well.
Exactly. So they're looking for a lot better than that, and I was expecting a lot better than that. And clearly, even with Qarabag, it clearly wasn't just a case. It was a rutted pitch in the away leg that did for Aberdeen, because the Pittodrie looked cracking.
I think they were lucky. It was a poor pitch.
Exactly, might have been. It kept the score down.
You think it would have actually benefited them?
Well, Stephen Glass said that, and after the game he was pretty honest. I think he said that, listen, I think they maybe got away with one, that the pitch over there was poor because they've came here and they've bopped Aberdeen off the pitch, passed them off the park. So I think Aberdeen have got a bit of improvement to come.
Yeah, certainly. Stephen Glass will be looking forward to these 2 weeks with his players. At Ross County, 1-1 draw. Alex Samuel has signed for them on a 2-year deal from Wycombe Wanderers. I want to talk about your 2 clubs. We'll start with Motherwell, actually. They've brought in Norwegian defender Sondre Solholm Johansen.
Good.
Go on, let's hear it back.
I only saw that this morning, so I was waiting for the official pronunciation. I don't care about the pronunciation of guys, even in your own team, until we tap into October. And then
right.
You've heard it being said enough by commentators, etc., and reporters, so give me it again.
Sondre Solholm Johansen.
Right, good.
Yeah,
Centre
half, I think.
Norwegian, another centre half, and sounds decent. I mean, I've yet to hear any player coming into any club who hasn't talked up the manager. I mean, for a time I didn't think that was the same Sean Goss that I remembered his last time in Scotland. When we brought him in, Graham Alexander was absolutely raving about him. But I must say, when he came in against Dundee, I thought he looked quite tidy on the ball, looked as if he could be a player. So that's a positive move. And as I was saying to Tam before the show, it's strange how it's kind of just flipped a wee bit there at Motherwell. I mean, the league table looks pretty decent. We're sitting in 5th. The win against Dundee was huge, but you only need to go back a week, and when we were 1-0 down at Livingston, the Twitter feed, Motherwell's Twitter feed, it was loads of fans. They were basically wanting Alexander out the door and back down the road, but it's amazing what a wee couple of victories can do. And the only thing, and I was wanting to ask Tam about this, I was gearing up to ask Ruffy about this, because as a goalkeeper, he would definitely have an opinion, but as a striker, so with Tam, the only flack that Graham Alexander really got for some of the guys that sit up next to me in the main stand on Saturday, he's going with a plan of everybody back when we concede a corner. Right now, in my heart of hearts, I don't agree with it. My theory is always the minute you clear the ball, you're giving your opponents a second chance to put it in. It's like a free hit. What's your take on that? Looking through your career,
I don't agree with that either. Because if you leave 2 or 3 up the park. The opposition's got to leave it. Tony Mowbray was one of the first managers that I ever worked under when he came in at Hibs. Bobby Wilson, everybody back defending. I was in the front post and all that and whatever. And strikers, they don't want to defend. They don't want to be in the front post and boys are getting in front of you and scoring and all that. And Tony Mowbray says 3 years up front. So 3 years went bang, bang, bang across the halfway line.
Yeah.
And the opposition kept 4 players back. So automatically, you're getting less people in your box with a chance to score. So no, I don't agree with getting everybody back. I think if you keep 2 or 3 up, and that dictates to them to bring
shows that you're in charge.
At least 4 players back.
I saw it done once, and you know what it was like in terms of the cavalier attitude. Dear old Jimmy Calderwood when he brought Dunfermline. It's the first time I'd seen this. It was a midweek game. Jimmy brought, decent team he had then, mind, brought Dunfermline down to Fir Park, and the corner kick was given, and the next thing you know, rather than get everybody back in his box, Jimmy Calderwood put 4 players right along the halfway line, and Motherwell just did. There was panic in the Motherwell dugout, and I didn't know what to do, and before you know it, we had about 6 players back. There was barely MD in the box. The ball went in and the goalie just came out and grabbed it, plenty of space, wasn't bumping into MD. There was less chance of a deflection, an OG or anything. But that was, I just bring it up. I'm always interested to hear what the former pros say about stuff like that, but it was the one thing that Alexander was getting a cat, get somebody up the park, but I think, I can't mind, it was either Alec McLean, it was that far back, maybe even Mark McGee, when they were doing it for a time at Motherwell. I remember the official, it must have been a fans night, a Q&A night I was hosting or something, and the official, I think it was McGee, the official reason for him, the official explanation was, he said, if it's good enough for Barcelona, it's good enough for us. In Barcelona, whether it's still there, I don't know. But somebody else mentioned when I said about it on the radio at the weekend, somebody contacted me and says, I think Guardiola, does he do it as as
I'm not sure.
back?
No,
maybe it's because they've got small players. Then you crowd the box. Who knows?
But again, you're wanting players up the park. That's where you're
all about goals.
Counter attack. You think about as soon as the goalie catches the ball, he's going to throw it out to somebody. Yeah. And Tony Mowbray's Hibs team scored a lot of goals on the counter attack because they left 2 or 3 up, and as soon as the goalie got the ball, he knew what he was doing. Bang into Riordan or corner. Wasn't me, I was on the bench, but
too right.
They boys. So no, I'd be more positive, more pragmatic if I was defending. I wouldn't be bringing everybody back. That's just my opinion anyway.
Okay, we'll work out some more tactics after the show, will we?
Exactly. That's the most tactics I've spoken about.
I know, it's not like you. I'm surprised. Right, come on, we've done Motherwell. Let's do Hibs. So they've got goalkeeper David Mitchell from Clyde as backup to their other 2 keepers. Also just confirmed that Nathan Wood is coming in, the centre-back on loan from Middlesbrough. We spoke about them really needing a centre-back, but also we're hearing reports that Hibs made an offer as well for Leigh Griffiths, but Griffiths chose Dundee. What would you make of that?
Ooh, that's an interesting one. I think Hibs have had plenty of time to get Griffiths in. I don't know why he would leave it to the last day.
It'd be strange if they came in for him.
I think it'd be strange if they left it to the last day. I know Jamie Gullen's possibly going out on loan. Kilmarnock's been spoken about. I think if he goes in, I think Hibs need another striker. The boy Wood was sitting in front of me at the Hibs game at the weekend. By all accounts, and as Tam says, he's got a great pedigree, he's great, he's quick, and somebody knocked back millions of pounds from him. So, listen, he's a young player at Middlesbrough, but a big club coming up with Scotland, so hopefully he's a decent player. But I think if Hibs can get him and they can get a striker in, Hibs got away with it last year because they never brought a striker in, and they played Boyle and Nisbet and Doige, and none of them got injured. The 3 of them played the whole season. Doige is out to Christmas. They brought James Scott in, an ex-Motherwell player, looks okay. I still think they need another one.
Nisbet picks up knocks here and there. He's out the first Scotland game as well. So, yeah, any ideas with that striker? Anyone that you've got an eye on? A loan deal, do you think?
Listen, Graham Matthew and Hibs will have targets. They'll have people written down. The only thing is, the Hibs supporters, Hibs seem to always leave everything at the last minute. It's mental. It's been the last 2 or 3 windows. It's been sitting waiting, and 10 to 12 if somebody comes in or somebody goes out. So they seem to, I don't know if it's about wages or they're trying to play poker with people or they're waiting to see somebody goes out and bringing somebody in. But I think the Hibs fans will be bitterly disappointed if they don't get a striker in the night.
Yeah, they'll be bitterly disappointed as well if they lose any of their big players. Now, I spoke to Ron Gordon a couple of months ago before the window started, and he said that they need to sell 1 or 2 players. You're looking at Josh Doyle, Kevin Nisbet, Ryan Porteous, Martin Boyle, all who could be worth, at least £1 million up to £5 million. Why do you think none of them have been sold? And is it a good thing or a bad thing?
Good thing. You know, as Tam was talking about there, Hibs have got to be ambitious. They've got to go and have a go this season. You know, and they're sitting in a great position right now, top of the league. Play Hearts in a couple of weeks at Tynecastle. You win that game, suddenly you've got a wee buzz about you and you've got a chance to do something. So, you know, supporters are coming back in. There was 12, 13,000 in at the weekend. You know, if Hibs are doing well, they'll get 16, 17,000 there. So,
and you know what,
it makes sense, Tam, not to sell your better players.
Oh, absolutely. And even if, you know, we're talking the fantasy stuff earlier about Hibs or Hearts, you know, try to win the league or whatever, but, you know, clubs like Hibs and Hearts and a rake of others, they will have looked at what St Johnstone did last year. For St Johnstone to get the cup double, and with the best will in the world, out of the three big competitions, the League, Scottish Cup and the League Cup, it's the two cup competitions that all the other teams have got a chance in. And that's why I think a lot of them, quite rightly, get flamed after a few of them get their backsides felt in the League Cup by playing weaker teams, and include Aberdeen in that against Rovers. I mean, if I was an Aberdeen fan, I'd have been absolutely raging about that.
It's the only cup they've won in 25 years or something.
Exactly, you're thinking they're the sort of competitions we've got to go for. They're the ones that we do have a chance. You put a wee bit of form together in the Scottish Cup or the League Cup, you maybe only need to win, you know, 4 games, and before you know it, you're holding a trophy aloft. You know, so I think that's absolutely bonkers. So I really hope Hibs can hold on to their players, and if it's not the league, they can put a dent in and then think, you know what, look what St Johnstone did.
Yep.
What a wee double win do us any harm.
What about Hearts? They've Popescu has joined Hamilton on loan, and apparently they have rejected bids for John Souttar, their centre half, Scotland international, of course. But Hearts are the kind of team, I don't think any of us expected them to have 10 points after the first 4 games, be so high up the table. No. Could they go on and, you know, they always do well in cups, even when they're in the Championship, they're in the Scottish Cup final.
Well, I'm delighted first and foremost for Robbie Neilson, purely because not last week, but the week before, he was spotted in my wife's hairdressers in Glasgow. Exactly, right. And I thought, wait a minute, you know what he's like and all that, you know. And but it was my wife was sitting there getting the hair done, one of them when the women going, it's like one of the 8-hour jobs, you know, you're in there. So she had plenty of time to observe what was happening in the salon, and it made sense to me. She says, I think it was the Hearts manager I saw in it, you know. And Robbie, of course, lives in Glasgow. He's actually not too far from us. So I texted him, you know, and I said, I believe you were in the ladies' hairdressers earlier, you know. And he said, fair play to me, get back to me. He said, I was just getting the bit at the front done thinner. So he wasn't kidding anybody on, no. But so if only for that, I was thinking, I wish Robbie well. But you know what? No, I'll tell you why I'm happy for him as well, and why I was looking for well, there's a thing I don't. We better not get bogged down in all the Tams of the day. Suddenly at the weekend, everybody was calling Tam Courts Thomas Courts. When did that happen?
He doesn't like getting called Tam or something.
Is that what it is? That was if like an edict to come out from on high that don't call him Tam. But anyhow, I was willing him all the best, Tam Courts, Thomas Courts, whatever you want to call him, because before a ball was kicked this season, the guy was getting absolutely flamed. You know, maybe not been a popular appointment or whatever. And by the same token, every man in their dug knows that I think Robbie Neilson had to get after a wee bit of a flyer this season, the way they were grumblings last year. So aye, delighted for him as well. And you know, the way the two of the 3 Edinburgh teams are doing right just now, then it obviously tees it up for a cracker at Tynecastle, hopefully.
Yeah, Sunday the 12th, is that right?
Yeah, as it's next Sunday, so listen,
you're going to be there?
I think I'll possibly be at Tynecastle, which will be interesting. But no, listen, as Tam says, 2 teams unbeaten, Tynecastle, you know, live in Sky, 12 o'clock kick-off, I think it is. Listen, massive game for both managers. If you can win that, all of a sudden, one of your Hearts or Hibs will be dreaming about maybe doing something this season. Oh, it'll be cracking fixture. I'll be at that one. Can't wait for that. But there's plenty of other things to go through first. No more than Scotland duty, but we just got to finish off the transfers. We've got St Johnstone. They also brought in Ali Crawford on loan. You know, used to play for Hamilton. He's coming from Bolton.
What age is he, you know? He seems to be in the go for it. He's only 30.
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well.
If you told me he was 34, I would have believed
it.
Really?
30 years old. Craig Gordon, 38. I was speaking to him yesterday. I didn't realise. I thought he was 34, 35.
Goalkeepers, doesn't matter. Goalkeeper, you know, you get the odd veteran goalkeeper in the past, maybe most notably your man Burridge at Hibs. But the players now, even since Burridge's era when he was playing, the players now, they're fitter, they're better looked after, they've got all the sports scientists, they've got everything.
Especially goalkeepers.
Aye, I mean, you look at Craig Gordon, I don't see why there's any reason that he couldn't play. He's 45 or whatever.
That's what he said. Buffon's still playing at 43. He made a great save for Parma in Serie A at the weekend.
Still criminal, by the way, that last year a guy, Craig Gordon's ability was in the lower leagues. Aye. I mean, that's just bonkers, you know. He should never have been anywhere near there.
I know. Sometimes happens though. Club captain, taking them back up and still unbeaten. Right, the only other thing we've got to talk about is St Mirren, Jamie McGrath. Will he stay? Will he go? We don't know. Keep an eye on that one now. We'll be keeping you up to date on all of our social media platforms. That's Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe and follow on all the platforms for all the latest right up until the deadline. Slam shut at midnight. Right, that's us on transfers. We're going to talk about Scotland now. Speaking to Stevie Clarke and captain Andy Robertson today. Now, it's gone from bad to worse for the Scotland camp. They're only travelling to Denmark tomorrow with 18 players. It was originally 26, but they've been hit with injuries and COVID. Here's what Steve Clarke had to say earlier.
We've got a little issue with Stephen O'Donnell getting access to Denmark, which is a little bit of a curveball. It's caught us out a little bit, but it's just the way it is, you know, with the COVID restrictions and the rules. Different countries have different rules. The medical staff, or the doctor and Graham Jones, have been trying as hard as they can to find ways round it, loopholes and whatever, but we haven't managed to solve that particular problem. So, yeah, I started with a squad of 26, I think, and we'll travel to Denmark with 18. We have a strong team on the pitch, and we have a good bench. We don't have the full bench, but we have more than enough to go there and be competitive in the game and get the result that we want, and that's the most important thing.
So Stephen O'Donnell missing out due to COVID technicalities entering Denmark. And you've also got Kevin Nisbet, who will miss the first game as well. Both of those two will be back for the weekend's game against Moldova, but Nisbet just got a little bit of a knock. You've already got Nathan Patterson and John McGinn, both missing out for the opening game due to COVID. And you've got Scott McTominay, Stuart Armstrong, James Forrest and Greg Taylor, all injured. So it's a tough start for Scotland. They're playing Denmark, who, lest we forget, were in the semi-finals of the European Championships, Dan.
Very difficult game. Even to get into that with your full team, it'd be a big ask, but to go in there depleted, you know, a lot of guys you mentioned there would be starters, particularly John McGinn. So, listen, up against it. Let's be honest, up against it. Take a point right now, of course you would. But just need to go over there and put in a performance, you know, maybe get a wee couple of breaks on the night and maybe get a point, sneak a win. But very difficult. Denmark, huge favourites. Yeah,
certainly. We'll hear more from me and Tam, Charlie Adam as well tomorrow. But Tam, we won't hear from you tomorrow for the game. So I want to hear your predictions on it. It's going to be a tough one, isn't it? What do you reckon?
I think 10-0 Denmark.
10-0 Denmark.
No, I don't. No, I'm panicking just to hear all that. Wow, we're absolutely decimated.
So we don't even have anyone at right back. It's likely to be Ryan Fraser at right wing back.
Well, here's, you know what, for years, and I'm older than the pair of you, for years we've always heard this thing, Scotland are always better when we're the underdogs. Well, we're certainly the underdogs now going into this for a variety of reasons, mainly with the personnel. And of course, as you say, Denmark, no mugs. Semi-final of the Euros, but because of the man that I've deemed the Antichrist ever since this particular incident, Mr. Poulsen in the Denmark team, the man who famously dived for a penalty in the day that the world saw what happened to Christian Eriksen. You know, after the Finland fans were chanting that guy's name, after the Finland players applauded the Denmark players back onto the pitch, that guy Poulsen, it was the worst dive I've ever seen, and I will never stop going on about it as long as I live. He dived after everything that had happened in that game, all the lovely feeling that was coming out of the game about how compassionate everybody was and the terrible stuff they'd won. He dived, he cheated folk that had clapped him onto the park, fans that had chanted his teammate's name when he was lying there on the pitch. It's incredible. So if only for Poulsen, I feel as if I should just go out to the Scotland team hotel and just show them that incident on a loop and say, come on, get into this.
Did they not miss the penalty as well?
I think they did. It was very sporting. The guy effectively
must have been
passed it back to the goalie.
Celebrated top off.
Oh, it was great, but you were clearly, the only reason that in many respects you wanted to miss it was if Poulsen himself had got up and taken it, and that would have been absolutely brilliant. But no, we're up against it. All the players that you say are out with COVID, even the coaching staff. Austin McPhee, he tested positive for nips.
Yep.
So he, it was always going to happen.
He's been to the same hairdresser as Robbie Nielsen.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Aye, but no, you know, Austin McPhee, COVID related as well. It's strange times. But you know what? I think with anything here on in with COVID and that, we've just got to go on with it, you know. And I'll put this one to you, Tam, is it maybe better? I mean, we will have players back, I'm sure, for Moldova and Austria. Looking at the strength of Denmark and maybe the chances of getting in against them anyway, is it maybe better that we've got the players missing the now and we're maybe a bit stronger in the other two games?
It'd be better for the boys that are missing. If Scotland take a doing, they'll be sitting going, that was a good one to miss. I've been in that situation myself, you know, where you're looking at a game and you're getting a doing and you're thinking, glad I'm not playing today. So that could possibly be it. But if you bring all the big guns back, McGinns and Nisbet and guys like that, Armstrong for the second game, Moldova is a game you've got to win. Listen, Moldova night sets you up for Austria. I think Denmark will. I think Denmark will win every game.
Yeah, Denmark won 4-0 away to Austria, the one we've got to go and do. So you'd expect that they will win the group with ease. So yeah, I'm in the same boat. You get the players back. I think it's 4 players back for the Moldova game. Build up, and then the big one is Vienna on Tuesday night. So yeah, we'll be building up to that on PLZ Soccer. Hearing more from me and Tam tomorrow.
You should see the Denmark one as a no-lose situation and say, look, nobody gives us a chance here. They were semi-finalists in the summer. We've got a depleted squad. Let's just go out and go and come back in.
What are you saying? Defending corners don't have anyone. Just have Gordon in the goal and 10 boys up top.
That's a breakthrough. That would be refreshing. I give it a go.
Oh, we'll have to wait and see.
Craig Gordon and Xander Clark. Are you allowed that? What's the rules of it?
As long as one of them doesn't have gloves on, it's fine, I think.
Right. Well, let's try that.
Right, yeah, we'll see. Xander Clark with his debut then tomorrow night, tipped by Tam Cowan. So there will be no players, and 6 players missing for Scotland, only 7 subs. I was speaking to Andy Robertson as well, the Scotland captain, and he was giving us a little bit of insight because there's a few players that might have a move today. You know, you've got Jack Hendry, who's likely to leave from Ostend to go to Brugge, a Champions League club in Belgium. Nisbet, rumours around him, we think he's going to be staying, but Christie as well, who might be leaving, going down south. So this is what Robertson had to say about the want-away players and if they're still focused on Scotland.
Obviously for lads that are moving, you know, I think a couple of that have been linked. It's more, you know, probably exciting moves than trying to get out of clubs where they're not really playing. So it's different, you know, it's a different kind of stress because you're excited about what's next, not, you know, maybe trying to get game time elsewhere. So, look, the lads will deal with it. It's exciting times for them, and if, you know, moves materialise, then, you know, great for them. If they don't, then, you know, they'll have to deal with that.
Yeah, so Tam, what's it like on deadline day for a player? You made a few moves in your career, to say the least. Come on.
It wasn't for a fee, but
That's what
I was usually out of contract. I could move outside the window, but no, listen, I think it's always when you're linked to clubs or your agent's in your ear saying this club's interested, this club. Listen, it's nervous times for any player. Some of those guys will be sitting on the verge of a real massive move. And same with guys, even guys like Kevin Nisbet could be sitting on a massive move, a life changer, you know, to a big club, whether it's Celtic or Rangers or whether it's somebody in England. So I think they'll all be nervous, but I think they'll be concentrating on Scotland. But I tell you what, Ostend, what a bit of business they've done. They've signed him for £1.5 million. He's not played a kick the ball this season, and they're going to sell him for 5 or 6.
Yeah, you right that, Tam?
That's fantastic for
them.
them.
That's a smashing bit of business. In terms of transfer window, whoever Ostend's general manager is or chief executive, I'd like them to we beat the deadline tonight and bring him in at Motherwell. That guy is clearly a clever cookie.
Yeah, we'll have to see with that one. Right, we'll leave Scotland stuff there. Tam, thank you very much for your thoughts. Just before we go, a quick look at business down south and also across Europe. Cristiano Ronaldo today has been confirmed as a Manchester United player. He's going to get that number 7 shirt as well from Edinson Cavani. And that's because Dan James has left United. He's moving to Leeds. Plenty of other clubs in action. Spurs looking for Emerson, the right back from Barcelona. Arsenal also looking at a right back with Hector Bellerin set to join Real Betis on loan as well. But Cristiano's the big one, Tam. Fairy tale stuff. I think it's 12 years after he left United.
Well, you know what? In my ignorance of English football, I thought he might already have been in when Man United played Wolves at the weekend, and I was searching out for that game, because a game that I would normally just completely dismiss, you know. I had all the match of the days, the Saturday night, the Sunday night, recorded and everything, and I normally don't bother my backside with English football, but something like this it's just great. It just, you know, he's absolutely fabulous. Everybody's got the how they rate Ronaldo. He'll always kind of be second in my book to Dougie Arnott, no, to Lionel Messi, but fabulous to watch, and I'm actually even just looking forward to the spectacle of that, like the prodigal son coming back, when he's unveiled, if you like, at Old Trafford. I mean, what's the first game he's likely to play? Do you know?
Oh, it's next
Where the
weekend.
fixtures go? Is that at Old Trafford?
Yeah, I think.
I mean,
it's
you
at
think
Old
they would
Trafford. They're
even
away to Wolves,
they would
weren't
even make sure that his debut back was at Old Trafford.
I think
just for the whole spectacle.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing.
A traditional unveiling. I want to see the first celebration as well, the big twirl in the sea. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Absolutely. And 38-year-old, and I
So you did the fives by you?
I
played 5 a-sides with
I
him.
never score.
He scored and he done it in Ronaldo and all
dear.
that.
Oh, he's at it.
We were only 7 doing it at that point.
You wear coloured boots, don't you?
He does.
Aye.
He wore white boots. You can just tell.
Nah, you can just
Sand
White
dancer.
boots. He's PC.
But no, Ronaldo. But I mean, and you know, for Man United to be able to do that, you know, you're hard pushed to think. You know what it would be for a Scottish club just to be able to really pull one out there that you bring in, somebody that just guarantees the fans flooding to your stadium.
It would have almost been, you know, when Larson signed for United when he was 36, would have been like him coming back to Parkhead then or something like that, wouldn't it?
Yeah, aye.
Anyway, we'll have to wait for that. Maybe one day you'll get a Motherwell legend back. Who would you have? Quick, last word before you could...
Well, we did it. I'll tell you how. I know that rosy glow. No, I know. We brought him back about 5 times. No, he doesn't count. But the rosy glow when Terry Butcher brought back the late, great Phil O'Donnell. Brought him back, and I get goosebumps even now thinking about it when he came on as a sub in his first game back, and Phil O'Donnell, who he was then in his 30s, he was the guy who'd been the teenager who'd scored in the Scottish Cup final. You know, there was folk with tears in their eyes. You know, it's moments like that you want as a fan, that you want watching football.
Yeah, thanks for that, Tam. Lovely end to the show. Thank you to everyone at home for joining us, watching us exclusively on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell icon as well, and you'll know when we are going live every single day. As I said, it is deadline day. We've got a few hours left in the window, and there's still deals to be done. So stay tuned to PLZ Soccer's social media channels, our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe for all of the latest updates right until the window slams shut. We want to hear from you. How have your club got on? What do they still need to do? How are they set up for the entire season? But once again, thank you at home for joining me. Thanks to the two Tams. I've had fun. Thanks for helping us through the show. And we will see you again tomorrow.